Hello and welcome to Game Changer Live. We were created to inspire with topics about positivity, mindset, coaching, and more. We go live every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. because we believe that live brings the most authentic and unedited version of who we are, so that you can see us, and who you see here is who you would get to work with or meet in real life. We bring occasional guests on about the second and fourth Wednesday of each month, and our motto for this channel is Together We Inspired. So let's get inspired today with my guest, Barry Kruijning. Barry is a leader in the local chapter of the International Coaching Federation here in Oregon. She's a mediator and a conflict management coach, as well as a PCC certified coach, and she holds several impressive degrees, I might add. She's worked in human resources, coaching, and training leaders and teams in global settings for over 30 years. And this year, she's celebrating the 20th anniversary of her journey as a coach. So when she's talking about this stuff, she really knows what she's talking about. And right now, she's focused on working with introverted leaders in people leadership roles. She, I can't say enough good things about you, Barry. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you and welcome to our show.
Thanks so much for having me on your show, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here.
I love it. Thank you so much. Well, you've heard my introduction of you, but I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about you as a coach and your coaching business.
Yeah, so I have a background in law and human resources, and at some point, I wanted to be more of an advocate for employees instead of being the employer advocate, and step into a role as coach. Somebody in like 2002 or so told me like you would be a great coach, and I had no idea what coaching was. So I checked into that and then worked up towards building my own business. And in 2007, I started my own business. And in 2010, I went full time in coaching. And so I've been um, I've been coaching in a job. I've been coaching in my own business for quite some time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we're going to have an audience that's listening to this. If there was anyone in the audience who would particularly benefit from listening in today, or that you're really talking directly to, who would that be?
It really is the first time people leader who identifies themselves with being more introverted, and someone that has been promoted, is technically really strong in their job, and now leads a team. And it's somewhat someone who asks themselves, now what do I do now? Now I have all these people report to me, and I need some help. And so that's where I come in.
You mentioned introvert, and I know that that's a word that a lot of people are familiar with, but just so that we're on the same page, could you help define what an introverted leader looks like?
Yeah, totally. I would first like to address what an introverted leader is not. An introverted leader is not shy and quiet. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. So, an introverted leader is someone who thinks before they speak. They are thoughtful, they are great listeners, great observers. And when they come with an answer or a question, they make sure that it's well thought out. And they're more focused on asking the right question than answering the question in a right way. So if that makes sense, the question is more important for introvert to get information, to know where other people are coming from. There's a great deal of empathy and caring, typically in introverted leaders that we see. And, when an introvert does speak up, I always say we better listen because it's a thought out idea. It's well formed idea.
Yeah, it sounds like quality versus quantity in terms of presenting ideas.
Totally. Yeah.
And so, what are some of the challenges that leaders who are introverts
Yeah.
find in the workplace these days?
Yeah, so there are several challenges, and the ones that I come across in my coaching is mostly fear of speaking up in larger groups, and the challenge is to become visible and to be heard in these bigger groups. So that is something that a lot of my first time people leaders walk into and are challenged by being seen and being heard, and also being valued as a leader and being seen as someone that is has leadership potential to grow. Dealing with conflict is also a really challenging one for introverts. Most introverts like to get along with people. They are more focused on creating harmony through their caring and their warmth. And so dealing with conflict is always a little bit of challenge.
Yeah.
Another challenge that I coach people on is promoting themselves and really talking about the accomplishments that they have that they have reached, and that is yeah, that seems to be very challenging for introverts, and also it really doesn't help them with moving on in the leadership pipeline,
Yeah,
so to
because
say.
it's oftentimes about who you know when you get to that level of leadership in order to get a role. So,
Right.
and speaking up and introducing yourself, that seems like it's
Yeah.
not impossible, but not necessarily the first instinct that we have as introverts. Well,
Yeah. And with that, I wanted to mention one more challenge, which is really important to work on for introverts, is networking and relationship building in larger groups. Introverts are great one-on-one, but when it comes to larger groups, larger group meetings or work conferences, yeah, definitely, they come to me to get some guidance on that.
can I ask a kind of more personal question? And I'm going to lead into that question a little bit. I work with perfectionists, and I'm a self-identified perfectionist. Is it the same with you and introverts? Do you also identify, I guess, as an introvert?
Absolutely. I'm like
Yeah.
a true introvert. And I think that is why I can be effective because I totally understand where these first time people leaders come from. I've been a first time people leader. I am an introvert. I might be a few steps ahead of them. And and that's where my contribution can come from, is to I've been there, I've done this, I've tried these strategies, and let's try them out. The moment that I embraced my introversion and being an introvert, and became comfortable with being awkward in social settings that are like large groups and stuff, that moment I could be really authentic and be myself. And that totally relaxed me. And so I would really want for other introverts to get to that point as well.
So it's possible for them as well.
Totally, totally
Excellent.
possible.
You mentioned strategies. How do you work with emerging introverted leaders, and how long have you been working with these first time introverted leaders?
Yeah, so I've been focused on working with introverted leaders officially for the last 3, 4 years. I realized when I was looking back to my client base, who am I serving? Going back like 5, 10 more years, they're all introverted people. And so I think we attract people that are like us in our businesses. And so I've been attracting introverted leaders for quite a long time and been working with them. The way I work with these leaders is that I customize my programs. So these are individual programs that I develop. And I really customize my coaching to where is my client at, because everyone comes in at a different level. Everyone comes in at a different level of introversion, as well as everyone comes in at a different level of professional development. And so my coaching is very focused on where are you at, where do you want to go, and what are your obstacles, and I will get you there. And so that is different for everyone, and it's just a true coaching model. because I'm specializing in communication effectiveness and presenting and confidence and impact. Um, I find myself sometimes also working in the field between like mentoring, consulting, training, and coaching. So I switch hats during sessions and I make people aware of that. I do
Fabulous.
that.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So you and I have had a chance to talk a little bit before this show, and you mentioned an introvert impact program. In fact, if you follow Barry on Facebook, you would hear her talking about this program a lot, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit about this program?
Yes, I've noticed that although we are introverts, we do like to interact with people. We do like to hear other people's stories, and we do like to be in small groups and work on our development, each at our own level. And so my program is a group coaching program, and it launches in January of 2024. And that sounds really strange to say that 2024, but yeah, okay, then. And so I'm working with gathering a cohort. I mean, these are people that I select that are interested in the cohort. They'll sign up with me, and so it will be a small group. And if I have more than 4 or 5 people, I can start a second cohort. So that's how I keep it introvert friendly, is to so people know that they are in a safe space. They can share and they can learn from each other. And those cohorts can be from the same company or they can be from different companies. There's value in each of these settings. So depending on who's signing up, I will form these cohorts.
It sounds like a
And
safe place.
it is a safe place, and it will be a 3-month program to start out with probably a follow up. So yeah, that's my new program, and I'm very, very excited about it.
It sounds like something that's worthy of being excited about.
Thank
Who
you.
So when you're designing a program like this, I'm sure you're thinking about kind of the long-term impact or the benefit that the people who sign up for it are going to receive. In your words, what are some of the benefits that someone, an introverted leader, for example, could expect from joining in?
Yes, I think Danielle is mostly gaining confidence, and it is about recognizing the strength that the innate strength that we have, innate skills that we have as introverts, recognizing those, embracing those, claiming our voice. So leaders will really work on developing their own leadership styles. We work a lot with values, a lot around confidence, a lot around beliefs that we hold about ourselves, and breaking through some of these limiting beliefs and creating some new beliefs that help us move forward. So it's really a lot about confidence and about impact that we can make in our careers.
Yeah. And so who who would be best suited if someone's listening to this and says that I think I might be interested in this, who's really best suited to joining in?
Yes, so these are in best suited is for the people leaders that are kind of new to their job, and I'm considering also opening up a cohort for extroverted leaders who are leading introverts, or extroverted employees who are being led by an introverted manager. So going both ways. I think there needs to be a lot of education around the differences between introverts and extroverts, the different needs, the different skills, the different opportunities, and in the different environments that each of these temperaments are flourishing. So at first, I'll focus on the group that we discussed earlier, somebody that's newly promoted into a job and suddenly is leading a team and knows of themselves that they're more introverted and like some help.
And I think that you pointed out some of the skill sets that introverts bring of being people focused, of really focusing on the story behind it, being thoughtful in their words. I think of it as being resistant to manic thinking, where it's just the
Mhm.
first thing that comes to your mind gets blurted out. And I know I could use a little bit of that, more of that in my life. It sounds like organizations could really benefit from really encouraging introverts to being their very best that they could be in a business. And yet, at the same time, after 15 years in talent and development, I know that we don't tailor our education for leaders, for new leaders, to help them develop these introverted skills. We're more focused on the extroverted skills. Um, and so I guess my question is, why is it important that organizations turn to look at their programs and to maybe adopt something like the Introverted Impact Program into their training and development for these new leaders?
Yes. So let me tell you about a client that I recently coached, and she told me about how the leadership programs that she was enrolled in her organization. She's an introverted leader. How they were really focused on extroverted behaviors and tendencies and needs, and she says, I felt like I needed to become an extrovert, and I'm not. I don't want to do that. And I said, no, you don't have to. And so that's the whole idea. And so there is this gap in what organizations offer their leaders. There's actually two gaps. The first gap is the programs are focused on the extroverted work culture here in the United States. So having that said, more than 50% of the people in the workplace are introverted. So there's a gap. They're not serving the people that actually, um, in their own way, can make a difference. So you miss out on like over 50% of your leadership potential. Then the other gap is the leadership programs that I've seen are focused on middle management and up executive. And there are very few leadership development programs, if at all, for this first time people leader. And I know that this is a group that really wants it, really needs it, especially in this new world of work, of hybrid. And I mean, there's so many challenges, different challenges than there were like 4 or 5 years ago, right now. And so there's actually two gaps that organizations need to fix, and they can fix that with a program like my program.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head with the two gaps in the training and development program. I also think that there might be a third gap, and that's maybe a little bit more large. It's a cultural gap that these organizations, by promoting extroverted behaviors for managers and making sure that those are, then they're missing out on all of these positive aspects that introverted managers and introverted leaders specifically can bring into the organization from a cultural perspective, because we're talking about people who really value interpersonal relationships and can really develop that engaged culture that organizations really want, and yet they're driving them away in essence by not having these gaps or
Yeah, they
having
just
these
don't
gaps.
see them. They don't see them.
Yeah.
They're not seen, and that's it's almost like a inclusion issue too. It's an inclusion gap
Yes,
as well.
absolutely. And a belonging gap as
Mhm.
well, making people feel like they belong. Oh, are there types of organizations specifically that could really benefit from closing this gap?
Yes, I think especially in organizations where you find a lot of introverted leaders, which is high tech, fintech, and so those are the two main industries that I can think of. The banking world, the legal world. There's a lot of introverted lawyers out there. So yeah.
Yeah, and I worked in government. I would add government in that because there's a lot of people who are lifelong employees with the government who have a
Yeah,
real hard time getting promoted,
yeah.
because it's hard for them to get seen and get up there. And oftentimes when you're working in a government job, you see these external leaders coming with no experience working with government, and they come and go every 2 years, but you have this introverted workforce, and oftentimes the leadership, like the team leads and the team supervisors, come from this
Mhm.
hardcore stock. It sounds like there's a lot of introverted introverts there too. Wow. Well, sorry, I'm interjecting. How you mentioned that this is a group coaching program, and I love hearing about coaches putting together group coaching programs, because oftentimes when I hear about coaching or talk to other coaches, it's always focused on one-on-one behavior. I'm wondering if you could help us picture what your role working with this group program is going to be, what that role looks like.
Yes, well, my role is the role of coach and facilitator. And the way I see facilitator is really making it easier for people to learn. That is literally the meaning of facilitating. And so that's what my role is. My role is to create a group, cohesive cohort of people that might or might not know each other, that they can fall back on also later on. And so creating my role is to create a safe space, if psychologically safe for people to share their most vulnerable challenges. Because what I often find is that we're staying on the above the surface, that iceberg idea, we're staying with the issue. We really have to go under the surface and explore the 90%. We can only do that when we feel safe and when we feel like we belong in a group. So that will be a big part of my role. Another component of this group coaching program is individual coaching. So when people see that, I want just to have that, like that one little push personally that I don't get in the group, or that the group setting is not quite fitting, we offer individual coaching sessions as well.
Yeah. And
So
that's so important too, because it's not one size fits all, like the world
yeah,
tries to make it, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
If you were to kind of bring out the key points of what you want people to walk away from this discussion knowing, or if there were just one or two things that you wanted people to really take away, what would those look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really would like people to take away that when they identify as being introverted, that they don't have to feel the pressure to become more extroverted. They don't have to become an extrovert in order to be a successful, impactful, influential introvert leader. That's one thing. Um, and the second thing is, as soon as people embrace being an introvert, no longer shame themselves, no longer judge themselves, no longer overthink about being an introvert, what it means, no longer ruminate, then people they free themselves of this obstacle, and they can become endlessly, like the sky is the limit for people that embrace being introverted, appreciate their innate strength, and just go for it.
Yeah. And to appreciate their talents, right? To appreciate the
Yeah.
fact that they're unique and the world wouldn't operate as well without them at their
Yeah.
best. You mentioned having a workshop, but before we get to that, how can people who are curious about you reach out to you and learn more?
Yeah, that's good. So I'd love to have one-on-one conversations, or just written communication. People can reach out to me on my website, crowningcommunications.com. And maybe you can put it somewhere in the chat later, but it's with
Yes.
a C. So, and then an S at the end, crowningscommunications.com. And my LinkedIn profile, I'm as Barry Crowning on LinkedIn. So people can find me there and follow me there. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So always have interesting, well, at least I think, interesting posts to share. Maybe I should not say that, but I'm a true introvert. I'm trying to, promote
Yeah,
myself.
absolutely. I think that
Yeah,
your posts are fabulous.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I think those are the main channels is LinkedIn and my website. And yeah, again, I love to have one-on-one conversations and just explore, how can we be of support to each other. So,
So I think that you have a secret to share with us today about something that's happening in October. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I don't want it to longer be a secret, Danielle. So I'm going to share it with you. So on October 25, at 25th, from 9 to 10:30 a.m., that's Pacific time, I have a workshop organized. It's a free workshop for people to kind of get to know me, to see my style, to feel how it is to be in a group like that, and to get a first look at my content. It will be a content-driven workshop. It's not a sales thing at all. That would not be me either. That is not true to who I am. So it is really just spending an hour and a half with each other, talking about, how can we be more increasing our influence, our impact through through effective communication. And so it will be really fun. It's hands-on. It's actually a workshop, so you get to work on your own little activity. And there's some sharing going on in small groups, and so it will be safe in that sense. And yeah, I'm very excited. Just people can sign on, and I think you're going to plop the link in the
Just
in the.
did. I just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So
Well,
it's a great
that's going to be
opportunity to
awesome.
get to know each other. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a link in the chat right now, and I'll make sure that that link also goes into the comments after this video is over. Um, I just really want to express gratitude to you, Barry, for being here on the show. And also, as someone who's married to an introvert, I'm glad that there are people out there who are talking about this and making the world a better place, not only for the introverts, but also for the organizations who truly need their skills and their services and them at their best. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks to our viewers for tuning in and watching our show today. We couldn't do this without you, nor would there be a point. So I really appreciate it very much. And if you would just give back to the community for just a moment by liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content, it would be a huge benefit to everyone in the community. And feel free to share this video with someone that you find would really benefit from this. Share it with your HR team, share it with your other introverted friends who may be struggling in their new leadership roles. And tune in next week for a discussion about control and how it's at the very heart of perfectionism. I'll see you then, and that's at Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye.
Thank you.